everybody. Welcome to Barbados. We made it. It was a fun trip, and I just wanted to share with you what this good ship Falcon looks like. And so, how old is the boat?
I wish you would have seen it before we refit it. The boat was built in 1998, and it did not look like this when we first started it. So we basically bought the boat for next to nothing, like actually next to nothing. It was sitting in a boatyard, and we gutted it completely down to a bare hull and built it back up. And it's our perfect boat for these types of offshore.
So it's like a 2023.
It's like a recycled. We took a hull and the way I describe it is we took an old boat, gave it a new soul.
Awesome. All right. Well, it's kind of windy, not right this second, which is great. We're in Port Charles, Barbados.
Yep.
And so let's look at what you got here. Let's start at the bow. We'll go down below. I'm trying to do this in under 20 minutes, so bear with us. And beautiful little.
Well, see, let me provide some context here, because this boat was built as a racing boat, specifically to take amateur crew around the world. And we saw that platform. It was designed to sail with a lot of people across oceans safely. So like perfect starting point, but it was way too bare bones, way too racy. We wanted to make it more comfortable, more cruising oriented. So on the bow, we put a new windlass in for the anchor. We put a roller furling system on. Back then, this boat would have had Hank-on head sails, which you can imagine the size of them would have been gnarly to deal with. So made it a little more cruisy up here. That's additions that weren't there from the first place. And then the rest of the stuff, we had this idea to make it a cruising boat, and then the things that worked to make them a little bit nicer. So like you slept in a pipe bunk, for example. We'll see when we go down below. That has a cushion on it now and sheets and stuff. Back then it would have just been a hammock and you sleep in it. So we've kept the concept, made it more comfortable.
Cool.
That's generally what we did to the whole boat.
This is your magic spinnaker pole.
This is new. This came off a Swan 66 that I got for cheap. Carbon fiber spin pole. This allows us to sail deeper angles downwind, either with the spinnaker or pulling out a jib and going wing on wing, which we can put a little video clip up there. All the hatches and ports and stuff were replaced. So the nice thing about this boat is it's big enough that you got room for everything. So our forward locker, we've got ropes and fenders, and Oscar is down there somewhere, our man overboard dummy who lives in the bottom. So this is rope and fender locker. And all of these bulkheads are watertight. We'll see that down below. So next compartment aft, from on deck. Oh, this is still locked, I think. We'll see it from inside. But anyway, this is where we access all the sails, the spinnaker, the running rigging for when we're sailing. So this is a 6-foot long compartment just for sailing equipment, which is awesome because we never had that on previous boats before. Next hatchback, this is the crew cabin. Rene, this is where Rene's doing the filming right now. This is where she slept. So we got 4 bunks down here. We'll see that when we go down below. But all of these are accessed from inside as well, hence the ladder. What I really like on this, maybe you can comment, like it's a nice big clean foredeck. Like when we're up here doing spinnaker work, there's no toe stumpers. It's nice space to work. Okay, what else? Working aft. The only thing we did keep were the spars. So the mast and the boom is original, but we replaced all the hardware on it. So all these tracks and stuff are new. The blocks, all the running rigging, all that stuff's new. All the standing rigging is new. Weirdly though, we sail so many miles, this has to be replaced already. 30,000 miles, we have to replace this. So that's
the rod rigging?
A big project, yeah. Or at least inspect it. You have to take it all apart, inspect it,
yeah,
and then replace what you need to. What else do you want to know, Jen?
Well, let's come back here. And you got a lot of winches.
You never can have too many winches, Jen. It's like amazing. I mean, we saw this in the downwind stuff. Every single winch had a line on it.
Yeah.
You got the pole out and preventers and all the rest. So again, it was a racing cockpit. So like I say that the difference between a racing boat and a cruising boat is cruising boat prioritizes ergonomics of like comfort, like sitting around, cup holders, that sort of stuff. Whereas a racing boat prioritizes where do you want the sail controls in the best position to get the most ease of use out of them, and that's what this is prioritized. And the boat's big enough that you still have a comfortable cockpit. We easily fit 12 people out here when we're just lounging around. So all the sail controls are down here. And then the other nice thing about the cockpit is all the business happens in this area. And then the helms people are behind the traveler. So you can have a helmsman and a coach or whatever at the back, out of the way of where all the work is happening.
And Renee's sitting and filming from the pit area here. And what do you have? Let's have you spin around, Renee, and let's get a look at the clutches.
So all the lines, so this is relatively modern in that all the lines that control the mainsail and the halyards lead aft along the deck and into the cockpit. So we've got a series of clutches on starboard and port. Your reefing lines come through there, the spin halyard, port and starboard, jib halyards, port and starboard, staysail halyard, topping lift, all the stuff that comes off the mast comes under here and is operated by these two winches. The scale of this, those of you that are boat owners or are used to like normal cruising boats, these are Lumar 64s, which are giant winches on most boats, and they look small on this boat. Our primary sheet winches are Lumar 88s, and these are driven by the coffee grinder in the middle. So you've got a clutch either side. I can engage this clutch. Jen, we can demo. You get two people on the coffee grinder, and you can get a lot of power on these winches to do the heavy load work. So that's pretty cool. It's different than most cruising boats as well. It makes you feel cool.
It's right in the middle of the living room, aka cockpit.
That's right. And then working aft, like I said, you got the traveler here for the main sheet. But then you've got two helms, port and starboard, and you've got plenty of room back here for a helmsman, a coach, a navigator that's holding an iPad or whatever, and it's just kind of nice to separate the...
Is this where we fight over the wheel?
That's right, exactly.
How many rudders though do you have?
One rudder, central rudder, and here's the top of the rudder post right here actually.
Nice.
And you got to come back here. My favorite, this is so stupid, but my favorite design change was this compartment used to be for life raft. So we got two life rafts either side. This was for a third life raft, because back in the racing days, they would have sailed like 20 through on here. I converted this to a bathtub. So we've got pressure, hot and cold water right here for a shower. The lid lifts up, and when we're at sea, and we've all done this, you can sit back here, hang your feet off the back of the boat, you have a perfect view of the ocean, and you're taking a nice shower with hot water, which is fantastic.
Going 13 knots.
Going 13 knots, yeah. So
I have a picture of Rene taking a shower going 11 and a half knots.
rooster tail flying in the back. Another little cruising thing, this is our Watt and C, we call him Watson. It's a hydro generator, so this kicks down and drags behind the boat. The propeller spins from the water going past it, and we make electricity this way. So this powers most of the boat systems when we're at sea.
And this little receiver is the thing that made us go on land in Barbados.
That's right. So this is this sends a position to the map on the website, and I can set how often it sends. It was normally offshore, it's 3 hours. We were going so damn fast on that last leg
Nobody remembered.
Yeah, we went straight over the land, but oh well. And then
It's a
here,
good story.
all the instrument stuff is here. So radar at the top, all the antennas for the various instruments, VHF, AIS, sat phone, comm to the terminal down below that we get weather and email on. And safety equipment, like I said, 2 life rafts, man overboard stuff. What happens if you go overboard, Jen?
You die.
That's right. That's the attitude you gotta have. So another little aft companionway here. This leads down into the skipper's cabin and the mate's cabin on port, and also gives access to the lazarette where the steering gear is. We'll see that better from down below. But the idea with all these hatches is since we have watertight bulkheads, every compartment of the hull has to have an escape route. So this is the one for the aft watertight compartment.
Cool. All right, let's go below.
Let's do it. I'll go turn the music down.
All right. Look at.
Where do you want to start?
Can I just make a little thing? Look at how tall he is. This place was built for tall people.
It actually sort of was. So again, those of you that know boats, the yacht designer Bob Perry, who is one of the all-time great cruising boat designers, he designed this section of the interior for us. So none of this was here before. There was like a central stove here, a countertop that came out to each of these holes, and then bunks on either side of this, and another passway into the forward compartment over there. But we wanted to create a proper galley and a living area so that nobody sleeps in. So this is the living area, and at sea, especially on this trip because it was so sunny and hot, people were down here reading books, staying in the shade, fans on, whatever, and this is like the community area, and Bob Perry designed this for us on like 25 different iterations, and this is what we come up with. And speaking of the height thing, he knows Mia and I are tall, and that we're mostly the ones on the boat, so these countertops, they have standards for this stuff, right? These are 2 inches higher than what the standard would be. So apologies to Jen.
No problem. I found my way around.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the area of the boat we completely reconfigured. The rest of the boat is the original configuration, but spruced up.
All right, let's have a look. Start in the bow.
Sure. Yep. So as I was saying on deck, this is the sail locker, and this is one of the watertight bulkheads. So we got these big, cool submarine doors that if we do have a collision or something, you can close this off and the boat won't sink. That's the theory anyway. So we keep, let's see, we have 1 jib on the furler right now. Then we have a second upwind jib, we have a staysail, we have a storm jib, a spinnaker, and a storm trysail. So this is where all the sails are stowed and all the life jackets and safety equipment when we're in port. Nice thing about that is it doesn't take up the crew accommodation. On our old boat, that was shared with the forward crew cabin, which was not ideal. And we've got storage each side here. One of the things, like, we spruced up, these wood trim, none of this was here, it was all just plastic, so we warmed it up a little bit. The cabin sole used to be blue painted plywood. Like, it was hideous. So we kind of just warmed it up a little bit. Like I said, we kept the pipe bunks, so these are the upper pipe bunks. The beauty of a pipe bunk is that you can adjust the heel. So there's a block and tackle here, and if the boat's heeled over hard, you can actually level it. And these look intimidating to people that haven't slept in them, but they're actually the most comfortable bunks in the boat. And then the lower bunks have, instead of a lee cloth to keep you in, they have a lee board. We have a funny story about the first version of these were lee cloths, and they were too low, and on our sea trial, our maintenance guy, Adam, actually rolled over the lee cloth and wound up on the floor. So then we changed the lee boards.
And so if somebody was staying on the boat, Rene, if you can just go back into this, like, look at your bunk.
This is the forward area,
yep. So everybody has a fan.
Turn that light on in the corner there, Jen.
Let's see. Everybody has a fan. Everybody has light. There's a little USB port.
Yep.
We've got
pocket for phones and wallets
pocket
and glasses.
phones, wires, all that stuff. And you have a couple of storage areas to put your stuff in.
Yeah, just take a peek in the top one that's empty because Sarah just left today. So every crew member gets one of those lockers that they can either shove their bag into or unpack into.
Because I feel like that's something when I was getting ready for this, I didn't know what it was going to look like. I did go on your website, but you have to scroll all the way down. And
there's some stuff there, yeah.
Exactly. So, cool. And what's this?
This is the reaching strut.
Oh, you were talking about that.
There you have it. So, technical terms, if you're head stay reaching with a spinnaker, the pole's all the way forward, the line doesn't have a fair lead around the shrouds, you put this on the mast to deflect the guy around the shrouds and back to the block. So if you know what I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't worry about it.
Escape hatch?
Yep, so 4 crew live up in this compartment and share this head. So come past the door and then we'll open the door. But another sort of thing that we spruced up, like I said, these head doors used to just be white plywood. We made them wood veneer. Here's the forward head. Very basic, nothing special about it. You can see the base of the mast down here. Interesting little technical thing, this is cool. Are you laughing at me? What I'm gonna nerd out about. So come in here, Rene, with the camera. You see this big aluminum bar through the mast, and you've got this stack of plates under the mast. There is so much tension in this rig that in order to tune the rig, you have to put hydraulic cylinders under this bar, lift the mast up off this step, slide those plates out, and lower it back down to relieve the tension in the rig before you can adjust the turnbuckles. And it is, when you're pumping that hydraulic pressure up, it's scary. But it's pretty cool. It's a big boat thing. And then this is pretty neat. Like I said, the boat was sort of recycled. This sink wasn't here, and it's actually made from part of the countertop that came out of the original galley. So this is recycled fiberglass that we cut into the right shape and put in the corner to make this sink here. And we did the same for the nav station aft, which we'll get to. So a lot of sort of recycled components. Like I like the idea, we looked at building a new boat. Not only was it more expensive, but like this boat was going to rot in a boatyard and nobody was going to ever sail it again. And we gave it a new life, and I like the idea of taking something that's got a lot of potential and doing something with it instead of just building new all the time.
Look at this.
Look at you on this countertop.
Wow. You know, so this is, I really enjoyed cooking here. And he's got a nice 5-burner stove and, you know, these pot holders.
Pot holder, yes. Yeah. Everything's, you gotta just keep stuff from jumping off the stove. The cool thing about the Galley is Adam, who's our bosun, he used to be a chef and worked on yachts and in professional kitchens. So he had a hand in designing a lot of the components to like commercial kitchen standards. So these sinks, 2 sinks, they integrate with the oven trays in the oven and these like restaurant style sort of containers. Everything's like modular. So we can take a restaurant style container and it fits in the sink like that. And then this also doubles as leftovers can go in the fridge. The same size trays go in the oven. Even down to the silverware drawers, these are just cutouts with these restaurant containers in them. So it makes it easy to clean and like stack all this stuff. Same thing in the pantry. We've got these, instead of shelves, we needed like, okay, stuff can't slide around, so we cut holes out and use these restaurant containers and everything. So that was a big shout out to Adam for coming up with that sort of clever solution.
How do these work in the oven?
Well, not these, but this big oven tray. So this is, so to be nerdy, in the kitchen world, this is called the Gastronorm standard, GN. So, and in Europe they call it Gastronorm, in the US they're called hotel trays. But like this is all standard sizing. So this is a 1 out of 1. This is a full-size pan, and this fits perfectly in the sink. So like if you make a hot lasagna, you can take it out of the oven, plop it in the sink, and then you can serve it, and then you can wash it. And then these are all, this is a GN 1 out of 3. So this is a third the size of that. Everything's sort of modular, and you can mix and match.
Now
sizes.
I know.
Now you know. That's why we're doing the tour, right? Another little nerdy thing, we originally designed the boat to have electric cooking with induction stovetop electric oven, because we have a very big lithium battery system. But that used so much power that we decided, okay, we can either cook with electricity or we can just go 5 days between charging the batteries. So we opted to extend our time between charges, and this is a standard old school propane stove. I got day fridge here, so this is like the fridge where we have lunch and breakfast stuff that the crew have access to whenever they want, and then there's big fridge and freezer in the back for the extra stock of stuff.
And the hot sauce.
Don't miss the hot sauce locker.
Favorite locker.
Another little fun fact, working our way back aft. This is like my area on the boat, the nav station. This used to be a toilet. And it was a mirror image of the head on that side that looked just like that with that door. We cut this area out, and again, all this stuff is repurposed from the old Galley and made this into a nav station, because the boat never had a nav station in the main area before. So this is where all the business happens, on the navigation and weather and all the electrical stuff.
Nice. And then head on this side, day head.
Yep. So the aft crew share this head. This is what the nav station used to look like, just a mirror image of it.
Got it. No showers.
No showers, only on the stern, and only foot pumps in the heads, save on pressure water. It's a pretty simple boat. As big of a boat it is, it's very simple. We try to keep the systems limited. Working back aft, we've got this main area here. Is a big, we use this as a workbench in port, but it's the top of the engine compartment. And you can see all the systems are inside here. So you've got the engine, you've got the water maker, there's a hot water heater on the other side, and the main engine also charges the batteries. So the boat would have originally had a generator. We took that out and put alternators on the engine. And at the very back here, you've got fridge and freezer, top loaders. So freezer on this side, fridge on the other side. That's where all the extra stuff goes. And again, crew bunks, top and bottom, port and starboard. This is also pretty new. This is a wet locker, and if you look at the ducting in the back, that's when we sail in cold climates and high latitudes, like I sailed to Greenland last summer, there's hot air pumped into here from the heating system. So when your fallies get put away wet and cold, you get them out, they're dry and warm. It's hard to imagine that on this hot trip where nobody even put a jacket on, I think.
Right.
But when you're sailing in cold weather, it's super nice to have a hot jacket come out of the wet locker.
But it's good for people to know who want to join this.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that this is where your fallies go.
Everybody gets a hook and a number, and then the same thing. There's numbered pouches over there, so you get 2 hooks for your fallies, your life jacket, you get a little pocket for your personal stuff.
Love it.
We'll go one at a time back here. So, Jen, if you go to the back, you can turn the light on up top. So the starboard side of the boat, this is the skipper's cabin. So this is where I sleep and where the med kits and stuff are stowed. So that's my cozy little bunk at sea. If you follow Jen in there, there's an aft nav station in the back. So this was the boat's original nav station.
This is Jen size.
That is more Jen size. This is where the sat phone terminal is. We store the charts in the locker here, all the paper charts in the desk. And this is basically, since we do all the real navigating out there, this is kind of like a little office for us and a place to kind of powwow and escape from the riff.
Can I show a very cool invention that maybe you did?
Please do.
This is like my favorite thing. I haven't told him yet. Just look at these little pockets, and then voila, the love of Velcro, and then just put it back.
See, you know, the NASA astronauts do that on the spaceship, so that's...
This is the good spaceship
that's
Falcon.
Right. It comes from that.
And then red light, white light.
Yep.
And then the datacom switch.
That's the, yeah.
Houston, we have a problem.
Rene, if you...
what's this? What's this?
That's the sat phone. Pick it up. Who's on the phone for you, Jen?
Hello? Hi, Dad! Nice chatting with you. I gotta call you back. Bye.
Right. Then aft, this is, we looked at it from the cockpit. This is where if you look in the way back there, so that's our companionway hatch, and that's where the steering quadrant is. So there's the rudder in the middle, and the Dyneema steering cables, and that's the lazarette. So that's the aft end of the boat. You can see the autopilot, that big hydraulic ram on your left there, the starboard side of the boat. That's the autopilot, drives the quadrant. And if you turn around, Rene, the engine control panel, the engine start panel is behind you, and it's on purpose that it's down below because it's out of the weather. And then we have electric instruments at the helm that relay the temperature gauges and stuff like that.
Spare anchor.
Spare anchor at the back, that's our kedge anchor. You can walk through to the other side now. Jen's got the mate's cabin on that side, which also has the apprentice bunk, which was Jen's bunk on this trip. So Jen, you can give the tour of the mate's cabin and show people how you climbed up into your bunk.
I don't know if it's legal how I climbed onto my bunk because I like...
Oh, it's legal. It's all right.
And then, it's as simple as this. And anything that I dropped land on,
Mano's head.
My watch, book,
Water
wires. Yeah, he's very tolerant.
You can work your way back down the other side then on that side.
And then this is a cool idea out of a shoe bin, right? Like
Basically,
over the door shoe bin.
So this is every crew, like I said, gets a number. The number applies to your bunk, to your life jacket, to your wet locker hook, and to this little cubby where you can keep water bottles, hats, sunglasses, whatever. That's your space to put stuff.
Very clever.
One more thing for the nerds. This is part of the electrical system in here. We've got 2 battery banks. So this supplies the engine start batteries, A and a B in case one fails. And then the nav battery, all the critical nav stuff runs off this battery. And then the house bank is lithium, which is up forward under the salon. And here's all your shore power charger, all your electrical switches and breakers and all that stuff. But it's there's a lot of information on our website, on the quarterdeck actually, about how we designed the system. So if you're interested in that, you can nerd out on the quarterdeck. Hey Jen.
Where you close that?
Yes.
And this is the lava lamp.
That's the lava lamp, yeah. So that's the controller for Watson, and when Watson is making electricity, depending on how fast you're going, that light glows a different color. White being like you're really hot and making a lot of power, so you can see in there, and it's kind of like a little bit trippy when you're sleep deprived and sitting up at night. How much power is Watson making? And it's changing purple, blue, and red and stuff. It's pretty cool. Completely unnecessary, but neat.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of holes over there, so you kind of can see.
You
Oh,
can see
how
it coming
fast are
through.
we going? Yeah.
And then the brains of the lithium system live in here. So we use a lithionic system. There's 3 batteries. Each battery has its. These are not the batteries. These are just the BMS, the battery management systems. So each battery has its own BMS, and each one is an individual bank. So there's a lot of redundancy built into this in case we have a failure. We've tried to fail-proof everything. So all the house stuff, the fans, the lights, the windlass, run off of this bank. And then this bank, in turn, charges the engine and the nav batteries through DC to DC chargers. So the beauty of lithium is you can recharge them really quickly. So all the charging sources go to this. And that's the business end of that. And the batteries themselves are under the seat here, which you can't really see. And again, for the nerds, we have 24-volt system. And at 24 volts, we have 1,000 amp hours of capacity at 24 volts, which if you're used to thinking in 12 volts like I am, that's 2,000 amp hours of capacity at 12 volts, which is an enormous battery bank. And it lets us sit on anchor here for 4 days without having to charge, which is great. What else? What did we miss? Don't miss the library and the bookshelves. Jen immediately stole the 2 best books off the shelf when she got here.
I put one back.
You
The
did.
other one I'm going to try and finish tonight. It's not
Cool.
going to happen.
That picture on the wall, that's our other boat. That's the boat that we started the business with. That's Eastbjorn. That's the boat from Annapolis that was Patriot when I was working on the Woodwind. That's the boat we drove by every day. I said, I'm going to have that one day. And there it is. She's based
There
in
it
Norway.
is. So, to wrap it all up, this is what we've been sailing across the Atlantic. 10 days, 19...
10 days, 19 hours. We had 11 total people on the boat. Did it feel crowded?
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
That's the cool thing. You can put a lot of people on the boat and it doesn't feel crowded.
And everybody had something to do, too.
There's always something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 days, 19 hours. We averaged 8.3 knots, 201 miles a day. It was fast.
Do you know what trip you have next and that you still have availability on?
Yes, we have some trips coming up in the summertime over between, I think, so like the late summer trips, July and August, Ireland to Norway.
Ooh!
There may be spaces on Amsterdam to Sweden, then back across the North Sea, so Sweden to Scotland, and then across Biscay. That's like a big kind of bucket list trip. So when we think of like, as Americans from the East Coast going out to Bermuda, Caribbean, crossing the Gulf Stream, you know, Hatteras, it can be gnarly. That's Biscay for Europeans.
Oh, very
That's
cool.
the heavy weather trip
Okay.
from Ireland down to Portugal that'll be in October. I know we have space on that. That's like you run a real ocean sailing, heavy weather experience. That's the one.
Got it. And now, do they know who they're going to get for captain?
We
on
do.
some
I
of
don't
these
know.
trips?
That's Chris, I believe. And Chris is one of our primary skippers who does. He's doing a lot of trips this summer.
And you
It's
also
on
have,
the website.
You also have some all-women trips, right?
Those are full for this year. But we
Okay.
have 3 all-women's trips next year, starting with the first one in January in Portugal. I know we have space on that. And I think there's some Woodwind folks on
Yeah,
that
I
as
think
well.
Susan and
Yeah.
Denise have signed up
Yep.
for that, yeah.
And then, so that's on this boat. Then we have another all-women's trip on the other boat in Norway. And then a third all-women's trip. We go to the Pacific next year. So the last trip of the Pacific season I think it's in September, October of 2025, is from Victoria, British Columbia to San Francisco.
Very cool. All right, well, there you are. I think I'd love to end this on Rene zooming in on that very cool chart over there of all the places Falcon has been.
That's actually Ice Bear.
And it's Ice
That's
Bear.
So Ice Bear's the boat we had prior to this. Sorry. But Ice Bear in the 4 seasons we had her sailed 43,000 miles. But that's a general idea of where we sail. So, and what we just did on Falcon was actually a repeat of this from Las Palmas to the Cape Verde across to Barbados. So 2 years ago, Ice Bear did that, and we repeated it this year. Except our route on Falcon went down; they went up because of the weather.
Who did it faster?
We did, Jen, by 3 hours. 3 hours faster.
Whoop whoop! But we did have our engine on.
We motored for 3
hours.
We motored for 3 hours.
So we'll just call it a draw.
We'll just call it even.
All right, thanks.